Rangers Journal Night.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Journal. My name is Ross Graham, and I am here with a couple of gents to talk you through some pre-match thoughts ahead of Rangers game. Barry's first game as manager away at Kilmarnock. I'm joined by two guests. Stephen, I'll come to you in a second, but my namesake, Ross. How are you, bud?
A little bit more optimistic than I think we were, maybe 48, 72 hours ago. At least it's given us something to talk about, a bit of interest in a game that up until now, I think we were all expecting just a bit of a write-off.
Yeah, absolutely. And our very own Stephen is at the ground now. What, are fans starting to fill in yet? I suppose it's still quite a bit until kick-off.
Yeah, it's quite early. The Kilmarnock Ultras have been here since I got here, and they're quite loud. So if you hear any big banging of the drums, it's quite Union Bear-esque, only a wee bit louder. It seems to be, even though they're at the far end. But yeah, people are starting to fill in now. The sprinklers are out. The pitch is getting ready.
Good stuff. How's the pitch looking, Stephen?
It's Rugby Park, guys. So it's probably as good as it's going to be. It's not that bad. It doesn't. It looks, for Rugby Park, it looks pretty all right. To be fair, obviously it's hard to tell because it's a plastic pitch, but yeah. It looks like it could be quite slick. So hopefully it should suit the team.
Good stuff. Ross, you mentioned there that you're quite optimistic. What a kind of roller coaster few weeks it's been to be a Rangers fan. Where's your head at right now?
I mean, I think we've all known that the season's been a write-off for a while, but at least we've now got something to look forward to, with the news over the last week of a potential, it is obviously only at this moment of time, a potential takeover by the Americans and, a fan favourite in the dugout. We know that Barry Ferguson's managerial credentials aren't the greatest, but I think what he's at least going to give us is a team that understands who they're playing for and what they're playing for, even at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. And Stephen, what was your take on, I guess, Barry's appointment, first of all?
One I didn't really see coming at the initial point. I thought it was nailed on that Chirai, apologies if I butchered his name there, was going to get the job. I mean, why else would you bring him in a month ago, when the manager looks like he's about to get sacked every time? But for it to go with Barry, it seems to have been, especially with the coaching staff they brought in, it seems to be a move to try and galvanise the support. And based on the first 48 hours, it seems to have had a decent effect. His press conference, he spoke very well. Sorry, the drums are getting louder. Yeah, he seems to know exactly what's going about. So yeah, I think it's obviously his CV is not the greatest as a coach, but he's done the bare minimum he needs to at this point, which is kind of get the fans something to believe in. I mean, as Ross said, Sunday we thought we were going to come here and probably take a gubbin, because we take a gubbin here even with good managers. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it goes with him.
Yeah, absolutely will. Ross, are you expecting him out in the brown brogues today? Are you looking forward to seeing him suited and booted?
If he's not, then what's the point? He's been waiting for this job for so long that if he's not had these brown brogues in the box from 5 years ago when he thought he was going to be taking over for Pedro Caixinha, they've just been sitting waiting. So if he's not got them on, then we're as well shutting up shop.
Yeah, completely agree. Look, let's get straight into it. Obviously, it's a tricky place, Rugby Park, for us and a lot of teams in the SPL, I guess. We found it hard there in years gone by, as you said, Stephen, with many managers. Let's take a little look at the team, shall we? So this was released in the last few minutes there. So we've got Butland, Tavernier, who obviously Barry has confirmed will remain club captain at least until the end of the season. Proper and Enciala. Enciala seems to have kind of carved that place out. Conscious we've got quite a lot of injuries, but he seems to be making a bit of a name for himself there. Jeff Day at left back. I heard a stat that he's played the most minutes for Rangers so far this season, which was pretty interesting. He's gone with Diamonde, Raskin and Hadji in the midfield three, which suggests that there will be a number 10 playing with the front three of Cherney on the right. I would assume Igaman on the left and Dessers down the middle. First of all, Stephen, what's your kind of initial take on that? A fairly safe call?
It's unchanged, if I'm right in saying, from Sunday, which, given how bad we were on Sunday, could be quite baffling. But yeah, I mean, it's a safe bet given the way the team's looking at the moment. I would have probably, if Danilo was fitter and he played more minutes, I would have put him in there over Bessers. But other than that, I think you can't really go with much else in that one. It'll just be more interesting, Ross, how they're going to actually set up on the pitch. As you say, will Egerman play off the left? He's not really done well as a 10. Could Barry go all Brexit ball and play 4-4-2, very direct? I would be quite doubtful of that because that would involve Hadji playing a bit deeper, and I would involve more defending for him. And you put him and Jeff down that one side. My God, Danny Armstrong could have a field day if he is playing. I've not seen the Kelly team. So yeah, I think it will be the kind of similar as is. It'll just be what we do on the ball, what we do off the ball. Other than that, obviously Clement's style was a lot more direct. Barry liked to kind of, I've seen when he was at Alloa, liked to play a bit more on the deck. Obviously more quality. So hopefully, even though it's different personnel, we see a much more fluid system, a much more attacking, quicker on the ball. Again, harder with the plastic pitch, but yeah, I'm not shocked in any way by the team. I'd have maybe thought maybe have brought Rice in if I was going to go with anybody and played Egerman up top because he's been quite vocal on Go Radio and such, Ferguson, how much he sees similarities to himself and Rice. But yeah. I don't think anybody is overly shocked with that lineup whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Ross, anything jumping out at you there that's surprising? I'll just run through the subs whilst you're mulling that one over. We've got Kelly, Ridvan, Lawrence, Bayrami, Fernandez, McCausland, Rice, Curtis, and Danilo.
No, I don't think so. I think it would have been unrealistic for him to go in and completely rip apart the team sheet and the tactics. And I think as much as we all wanted him to go in and boot the door down and flip the table and rip the armband off Tavernier, I think it would have been extremely unwise at this stage of the season for him to do anything overly drastic. And then obviously bear in mind as well, he's only had one training session with the players yesterday. One thing I did like about it was the kind of intensity. Anybody that's seen the video that Rangers put out on social media, especially with Billy Dodds being involved, and he was kind of really emphasising take the ball in, quick passing. It might not always be the perfect pass, but you need to be able to adapt it and play it quick. Something that I think the players will expect on a park like Rugby Park. We know it's the ball can stick, we know it can be unpredictable, and that's something the players need to be aware of. If at this stage of the season they're not aware of that, then we're not hiding it nothing. But I think they'll at least have them prepared and take away all the excuses.
Yeah. And Ross, I'll stay with you. Based on what I can see there with Cherney, Hadji, Igerman, Dessers, and arguably Diamonde when he's on his game, there's a lot of creativity in that team. So you'd be hoping that we'll be able to carve some chances out, which clearly has been an issue over the past couple of games.
I mean, I think it's been an issue all season. I don't think there's been our issue's not, I don't think, creativity. I think it's pace and taking chances. And it's something that you can't, instill into a team in 6 weeks. And I don't think it'll happen by the end of the season, but I think that's the way that the team needs to change in the long run. I don't think we have nearly enough pace in the team. Even if you have the technical players like Hadji and Cherney, that's fine, but you need to have legs round about them, and I just don't think we have enough of that in the forward part. I know you did mention that Diamande can break forward, but it's not enough to have one guy within that front 5 or 6 that's got any degree of legs at all. So I understand you need to make the best of what we've got, and in terms of creativity, you can't say that they don't create chances. It's then who do they fault to? Do they fault the guy that can miss the most ridiculous sitters we've ever seen, or will it fall to somebody that can stick them away?
Yeah. And Stephen, I'll ask, I guess, the same question to you. Where do you think it's gone wrong? Because looking at it, the quality that we've got versus a lot of the teams that we've played seems to be there, especially in the attacking positions. I'd argue maybe not defensively.
You would have to argue if we go down to the style of football, because I've long said that we don't have bad. It's not a bad squad overall. There's some really good footballers in that team. You mentioned a lot of them there: Cherney, Egerman, Hadji. But the style we've been playing has just been too predictable and too easy to defend against. I mean, it's so noticeable the amount of time we've become a second ball team. So we'll play a lot of long balls, potentially diagonally, and it kind of worked last season because you had a guy like Sima, who you could just ping the ball to out wide, he'd win a header, and then we can mop up the second ball. But we don't have that anymore. So we're relying on the guys kind of in that kind of attacking the likes of Bajrami, you know, a Tom Lawrence when he's in to try and sweep up, and it just doesn't work, and we're just, you know, we just don't create as a result of that. And when we do get the second balls, we're not relying on movement of players, we're not allowing a quick pass, and it's all about one guy. I mean, the amount of times you see Tierney, he'll get the ball off the right and just kind of come in. So, and it just hopes that happens. Ziggerman, you know, loves a nutmeg type idea. So it's just about getting them all working together the way that works. And I just don't think the way Clement lined them out works well for Scottish football, especially for a club the level of Rangers. You know, we shouldn't be, you know, being a long ball mop-up team. It worked for Clement in Belgium, kind of worked for them at points in Monaco, but you have to win week in, week out and be one of the dominant two teams in the country. We just can't do that. We want to see them get on the deck, and that's the problem we've had. We've got good central midfield players, but they seem to get bypassed quite a lot. Diamande, Raskin, they're more relying on doing a ton of work going back the way and trying to get up, but, you know, play with them. That's what we had Bailey Rice in that Queen's Park game. Clement talked about he didn't do enough. He was like, yeah, because the way we play doesn't suit them. Get them, you know, get them coming deep for the ball and have them build, and then hopefully we get more out of it. But as Ross said, a lack of pace is an issue, but hopefully Ferguson sees that and then maybe, you know, tweaks the way we play based on that. We're not relying so much on having to go wide all the time, kind of build through the middle and then have the wide players maybe come in and support, you know, and rely a bit on the wing backs like Jeffy and Tavernier to kind of provide that width as opposed to, you know, Tierney and Hadji.
Yeah, it definitely seems counterintuitive when Clement was in charge to be playing out from the back, but then to hit the ball long. It kind of feels like one pick from one style of football and one pick from the other. Ross, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the way Barry was trying to play. I'll come on to Stephen because I think he knows a bit about this in a minute. But what do you think, based on the players that we've got, the style of football will be? Quick passing, getting the ball wide, a little bit more direct? How do you see it mapping out?
I think he'll obviously try and simplify it. I think that's a natural thing that always happens when a manager comes in, even an interim. He'll just try and take them back to the basics first, and then maybe after a few weeks we might start to see something a little bit more once they have some time in the training ground. I mean, but you know, like I said, we're a team that you can't play super direct football to because we don't have the guys that have got the ability to hold it up as well. Eagleman can do it, but you can't spend a whole game lobbing out to him in the left wing. It's just not feasible. So we do have to keep the ball on the ground a little bit more. We're talking about it. The positives are we do have technical players. We do have guys that can take the ball and can turn. But the problem is we don't do enough of it. I think you need to get more of Hadji, you know, in the kind of 10 position turning. Tierney needs to drive at players, but we need to have support. There's no point in having guys that can run, you know, 30 yards with the ball and then hit it off 6 Kilmarnock defenders. There needs to be support. There needs to be runners up to help. And that can be a form of direct football as well, is just pushing guys up the park. And I don't think we do enough of it. I think that's been that was the kind of last straw. And let's be honest, Neil McCann ripped it apart on Sports Scene on Saturday night. So he'll be completely aware as to how we should be playing.
Really good call out. I think I watched that as well, and I thought it was really interesting analysis. And to be fair, Barry's done that as well when he's been on his pundit duties as well. He's ripped it apart and sort of gone into some detail on it. Stephen, I guess I'll pose a similar question to you. What sort of football do you think Barry will be trying to instill? Clearly, it's only one training session so far, but from your experience, I guess, of how he wants to play, what do you think that'd look like?
He likes to see how his midfielders go beyond, from what I've seen. So that would probably feed into hopefully seeing the best out of Diamande. I know yourself, Ross, has been very critical of how Diamande's been used in a Rangers jersey. So hopefully we see less of him kind of sitting, you know, near enough in his own box and kind of pushing forward. I think if he'd had maybe Conor Barron fit, we might have seen Raskin, Diamande and Barron, because he likes to have a deep midfielder. So that would be Raskin for us, and then having the 2 8s kind of go beyond as opposed to playing a 10, which I think would suit more how we play, because we've got very good technical 10s, but they're not very athletic, a lot of them. You know, Tom Lawrence's legs are gone. Bajrami seems like more like he kind of likes the ball kind of deeper and kind of spreading it anytime we've seen him do anything good. So I'd hope he would focus play going through the middle of the pitch as opposed to, as I said, constantly going wide. I think one thing I noticed when we played Motherwell in the League Cup semi in the last year is when Tavernier was in the team under Clement, everything had to go through Tavernier. And as we know, Tavernier's not the same player he is. I would like to see something different and have someone else maybe step up and provide that, role of leading everything. And I think that's if we have a midfielder like Raskin. I think one of Raskin's best games for us before this season was the 3-0 game out against Celtic when Michael Beale was in charge. And he seemed to take that ball really deeply, kind of turn the kind of attacking midfielders that Celtic had. I would like to see him just dominate and drive with it, as opposed to what Clement asked him to do, was get the ball and try and spread it. But I will be interested. I'm basing a lot of this based on how Barry liked to play himself. I know he was maybe nicknamed by some as Barry Backpass, but on his day, he was just probably the best midfielder Scotland's produced in a generation. So hopefully we don't have him like I know it's having something like that. I mean, Clement was a defender and his teams couldn't defend, so fingers crossed we see something more. To interrupt a bit, Ross, I've just been handed a team sheet and I've got the Kilmarnock team here. It seems like they do have Danny Armstrong in the team, and they seem to be going with young Bobby Wales up front. There's no Vassell in the team for Kilmarnock. I don't know how well he's been playing, but he's always caused us issues, and we know these big physical strikers are a nightmare for the likes of proper Nsiala. Had a torrid day at Sunday against those big, Saturday, against those physical submarine defence. So hopefully with a more mobile striker, Watkins is up there as well. So hopefully that may feed in and help us a bit more. But you never know. Coming to Kilmarnock, we never have an easy day here.
Yeah, Doug saying in the chat that Vassell is injured. Bobby Wales, I think, is out of contract in the summer. A good talent coming through. And will no doubt want to get his face in the shop window against a big game on Sky against Rangers. So one to watch tonight, I think. Ross, we touched before about the backroom staff briefly, and Neil McCann and Billy Dodds. I think we know Alan McGregor's there for the passion and the fight and instilling what it is to be a Ranger and some technical stuff with Butland also. But what do you think Dodds and McCann can bring to the table?
I mean, I know Billy Dodds is not everybody's cup of tea in terms of his punditry over the last few seasons, but I think he's obviously a decent coach. He's managed at an all right level. I know he's done a half decent job at Inverness. Neil McCann, I think, has been one of the best pundits in Scotland over the last 6 or 7 years, especially. That doesn't always translate to being good coaches, but they're clearly guys with more experience than Ferguson does, and it's guys that he trusts, guys that he clearly putting his faith in for one reason or another, that he thinks he can use them to bring out the best in Rangers. Alan McGregor has never ever mentioned that he's wanted to do coaching. I don't think he's, just from what we've ever seen of him in the media and things, he's not the most he's not the most eloquent guy. Sometimes he's very to the point. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's maybe not a great thing. But there's clearly guys that Barry Ferguson trusts more than anybody else, and he managed to bring them in to do a job for a club that they all, a club that they love, and stepping up at a time when we need a couple of heroes to just give us a bit of something back. So I don't see why not. And also at the same time, it's Fraser Medals. These are 4 guys that have. I think I put it in our chat. They've got 39 winners' medals between them. Don't get me wrong, most of them are from Ferguson and from McGregor, but Neil McCann won a treble at Rangers. Yeah. Billy Dodds has won, trophies at Rangers, scored goals, Champions League goals. It's Fraser Medals. These are guys that have done it at Rangers, different times, hard times, good times. These are, you know what I mean? They've got the right. They've got the right to say to these guys, listen, this is why we're here.
Yeah. I'll just stick with you for one other question, Ross. Do you think it's interesting that no former Rangers defender was brought in, given we've been shipping goals and arguably awful from set pieces?
It's probably not surprising, but bearing in mind that Ferguson spoke as well about how quickly he's managed to get his team together. It was a really whirlwind kind of 24 hours of trying to get guys together. And at the same time, you need to understand that people have got other jobs now. When they retire, they've got careers, they've got other things they need to do. So you need to respect that as well. I don't think for a minute that Ferguson wouldn't have considered it, but you need to think about other circumstances. He mentioned about how Billy Dodds and Neil McCann had to give up, decent punditry jobs to come and work for Rangers. So you have to think about these things as well. Do we want a management team that's, he's got David Weir and Carlos Cuellar teaching guys how to defend. That's what we want. But you have to be aware that there's other circumstances out with that when you get these scenarios that kind of rush together management teams.
Stephen, what's your take on it? I know that arguably this has been our worst season in a long time in terms of the simple goals that we've been leaking, just real basic stuff. Were you not surprised to see I'm trying to think of who he would have brought in, but someone that's won stuff with us and can help guide and coach some of these defenders who, like an Enciala, like a Fernandez, who just need an experienced head beside them?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of guys who Ferguson was close to. It seems to be guys he's relatively close to. He's brought in McCann, McGregor. Alan Hutton's a name that springs to mind, but I wouldn't say Alan Hutton's a great one for teaching the central defenders. And he's got a pretty cushy gig, with the media at the moment. I can't really see him giving that up. One thing I'm glad about, I don't know about you guys, is Ferguson. He's a lot of his jobs. Seemed to be taking Bob Malcolm a lot of places where he goes. I wouldn't have brought Bob Malcolm in to kind of coach the centre halves. The only other name, Big Jiggly McCulloch, he's already got the ambassador gig at Ibrox. Same with Marvin Andrews, likes of the guys. They seem like easy wins to kind of get somebody in. But I'm quite surprised because they all quite attacking players. I don't know too much about Shirai as a coach. I don't know if he's maybe the guy that they're maybe banking on to defend, but we've not really been inspiring in the month that he's been there so far. So maybe he's not that type of coach. But you mentioned Quella. I mean, Quella would have been a great one. Quella's talked quite a lot about wanting to come back to Rangers. Davy Weir would be, well, what happened when Davy Weir was last a coach here? I think we were worse defensively than we are now, but we did have Rob Kiernan at that particular point, so and Philip Senderos. So I don't think, in all due respect, the likes of Ruben Diaz and that, if they were a coach, we would have got something out of them. I don't know who's going to be doing that one. So you maybe hope that there's experience in the likes of Proper in there. Maybe he steps up a bit more in this one. Maybe they play a bit more to kind of suit them. But the way we shipped goal, I mean, those two goals they let in on Saturday, they are the bog standard stuff, balls over the top, dealing with that one. We don't concede, other than when we go to Parkhead, don't concede goals that are silky great football. It's just absolutely dross. And even some of the chances we conceded where we didn't, chances we conceded at Hearts, the XG that Hearts got was 3. It's something needs to be done about it. It's just obviously who's going to be the person to step up. I don't really see any of them do it unless, Billy Dodds has mastered something and he's off since his retirement. But you'd rather Dodds, being the guy helping, Egerman with his composure and that type of stuff. So, we'll judge it in this game. They've got 12 weeks to do something. Obviously, they're not going to get the job on a permanent basis. It's all about helping these guys, get their confidence back, get them playing in a way that when the new manager comes in, they've got a base to kind of work on, and then the players they don't want, at least they can put them in the shop window. It's good. It's going to be similar, I think, to what we saw on Saturday with the long balls. You just need to deal with them better and kind of have something working a bit more. Maybe defensively, the fullbacks tuck in. We saw Tavernier do that really well at Old Trafford. He was tucking in a lot more, even when he was playing it right back. You just need to kind of help the centre halves as opposed to leaving them one-on-one. Do you leave them one-on-one with the long balls? They're going to get done.
Yeah. I think that's very, very fair. And here we have a picture of the beautiful big boy himself, all dressed up for his big day. Looking very good, Bazza, and we're all wishing you all the best. Lads, I'm going to start to wrap this up soon. Ross, it'd be good to get your thoughts on, I guess, it's a bit of an unknown quantity here, but how do you think the game will pan out? And I guess, what would your scoreline prediction be?
I mean, you'd like to think we're going to get at least the new manager bounce. So I would like to think that we can at least go out there, have a bit of heart, a bit of fight, give the fans something to cheer, because we've been through the ringer over the last, especially since Christmas. We've really, really been through it. So I'll say 2-0 Rangers. I think we'll win comfortably. And I just need to put it there that Barry Ferguson's brown boots are not brown brogues. They're not staunch enough. He's got nice boots.
Well,
it's blocked out there by the sponsors. But they're dark brown boots and they are not staunch enough, Barry. You learnt better. You should know better than that.
Stephen, good to get your take on how you think it'll pan out and a scoreline prediction for you.
I'm going to go 3-1. I think we'll have enough. I think we'll get that new manager bounce, even though, say, a track record at Rugby Park is never one that makes you feel any form of confidence. Yeah, I'll go 3-1. I'll go Egerman to break his duck, to get him back a goal, and hopefully, you know, the game's done and dusted fairly early on in the game. We can have a bit of comfort, because we don't often have a lot of games away from home that we've been in a comfortable position going into it. So hopefully we get something like that, and hopefully I hope at least we see a sign of progression. You know, because we've had too much stop-start for too long. Hopefully we see something that we can build on, and we get the home game at the weekend where we can obviously put the foot down a bit more. Exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, Stephen, enjoy the game from the gantry, and Ross, enjoy it from the comfort of your home. Let's hope that we do get the Barry bounce. For what it's worth, I think it's going to be 2-0 to Rangers. I think a goal in the first half, and then maybe one sort of towards the end of the game as it gets a little bit nervy. The lads will be on later to talk through the post-match, so be sure to jump on and support them on there. As always, please like and subscribe. And a shout out to our new sponsors, Off to the Match I Go, who produce fantastic Rangers memorabilia. So go and check them out on Facebook. Let's hope for a victory, lads, and we'll see you after the game.